I nearly killed myself once, and I've been depressed many times since. I kept it to myself. I kept my head down. I didn't want to burden people. I didn't want to worry people. And then what happened is that things just got worse. If you are suffering from depression, anxiety, or other mental health issues, and you are affected by that, please, please talk to someone. And if you're watching this right now and you have no idea who I am, you can find me. Call me. I'll talk to you. This is a serious issue. Please, please, don't take it lightly.
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being here on the show. I've been wanting to have you as a guest since I started it, but it never worked. So thank you for making it happen.
Thank you very much for allowing me to be a guest. I'm very honoured. I'm a bit disappointed I wasn't the first guest, though.
You never had time for me. Well, you never had time for me. You know, you're a very busy man. So let's start with the first question. How is your heart doing today?
How is my heart doing today?
Yeah.
As in emotionally or physically?
It's your call. How is your heart?
I'm in a good space today.
Okay.
I'm in a happy space today, so my heart's good.
And in general, how's your heart?
We have good days and bad days, but today's a good day.
So what's a good day for Spencer?
Starting the day with my soul food, which is my exercise or my early morning stuff. I think that always helps. And then having something to look forward to always is good. And, always having hope, that makes a good day. So I think that whenever those things come together, then generally the day starts well and ends okay too.
What makes it a bad day?
Not being invited on Joe Rogan's podcast. No, I'm joking. A bad day, I suppose. I think if you don't have an absolute goal, it's very easy to have a bad day because you don't know where you're going. And I think that a lot of people in life and in business don't know where they're going. And because they don't know where they're going, they can find themselves getting into a darker place. And so I reckon all the time I have a goal and I'm clear on what that goal is and I can see it and I can feel it, it keeps me in that better frame of mind. Do I have mood swings? Do I have moments that aren't so great? Yeah, but that's because you get some blows that come your way. You'll experience that with your business when you get rejection. Sometimes it's kind of like wounds you a little bit, doesn't it? Like, and that might ruin the rest of your day. But that's something you can get over, and that's why I like to break everything down into 15-minute chunks. Because if something happens in a 15-minute chunk, then and guess what? I can be over it in 15 minutes.
So what does a bad day look like? I want
Empty.
people to know Spencer behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. Like you're the number one salesperson ever. Your podcast has just ranked number one. Congrats to that. You have trained thousands of people. You have inspired even more than thousands. You're the best when it comes to business and motivation and success and teaching people how to be millionaires and all of that. But people know that already. Mm-hmm. So I want them to know the real Spencer behind the camera, behind the mic, behind everything. So what does a bad day look like for you?
Feeling sad. A bad day is when you feel sad. And you don't know why. You just feel sad. And sometimes you feel sadder than other times, but sometimes you just feel sad. Or something happens that comes your way that impacts upon your positive mindset and just takes you to a darker place. And that's what it's like for me.
How often do you have those bad days?
Less and less.
Okay.
But I've gone through periods of when there've been a lot, you know. They say that the most depressed people on the planet are comedians.
True.
And they suffer with depression even though they're on stage making everybody laugh. And I think Robin Williams is such a great example of that, isn't he? When you're constantly the positive, high energy, motivating type of character, then you're giving all the time. And so if you don't find ways to receive energy or positivity or acknowledgement or recognition, then if things then become sometimes pointless or worthless, then that's when it can take away the joy from my heart.
That's interesting too. Like, I know that you are the person who wants people to win. You're always that person. You want to see people win. Why is that? You have the strong desire for that. Why? And you genuinely want people to win. It's not that I can tell the difference between someone just for the show, just for the hype. Like, yeah, I want you to win, but deep down inside, he really doesn't give a fly. You genuinely want people to win, and I can feel it and sense it in all of your senses. Mm-hmm. Why that strong desire? What is it about you wanting people to win so bad?
Because I'm very uncomfortable with people that live mediocre lives, knowing that they're going to be filled with regret at some stage. And I know the benefits of having more. I've experienced having more, and I know the joy that more can give you. And so I've kind of made myself the self-appointed master of not tolerating anyone's nonsense, because I know there's more inside of them, there's greater inside of them, there's better inside of them, and so much more than sometimes they can see themselves.
Do you have that person in your life who wants you to win as much as you do to others?
No, not currently, no.
Why?
Why don't I have that person? I did. I have, but at the moment I don't. I don't know why.
Does it make you feel sad?
No. Okay, yeah, occasionally, but not constantly, no. The more I feel like I serve, the more I feel like I'm pushing others, the more I can cope. Because when you do something you feel is worthwhile, that's why on the coaching group that you're part of, I push, but I get frustrated because I want people to get on and do well. And I get frustrated when people don't take the action. And I get frustrated because I can see their potential. I can see what they could be. And I think it's like when you meet a billionaire and a self-made billionaire, that's not very common, yeah?
Not at all.
But they don't see themselves as any different. But they're talking about numbers that we can't even count. And they don't see themselves as any different at all. They just see themselves as regular people. But they're people that have been able to fulfill their potential, because if you earn $50 a week and someone you know is earning $200 a week, and they say, I can show you how to turn $200 a week, and they believe you can do it, it gives you someone to aspire to be like, but it also gives them someone to focus on trying to help. And I look at you guys and I'm like, you can do more. And you're just selling yourself on some nonsense bullshit as to why you can't. And that's what it is. It's just, whatever psychologist, psychiatrist wants to use jazzy, fancy words around it, okay, it's just nonsense bullshit, negative stories as to why you can't do it. Stop it. And so, as much as I don't have someone that's pushing me at the moment, I've had people that have pushed me before, and I've got great satisfaction from that. And I felt like I've not wanted to let those people down. And so I have this belief that people won't want to let me down either.
You're right. On the like, I do feel you when you say you want to see people win and you want them to grow. I am like that when it comes in a different side. I am a protector. So I want to make sure that everyone around me, the people I love, are protected, are safe, are loved. And that explains a lot why I became a coach. But when I am not receiving the same love or support or anything that I give freely and willingly to people, there's something that stings. When do you feel that I wish I have a Spencer in my life?
I can't give you a time around it. I can't give you specifics on that. I think when they're not easy to find, because it's not just about finding someone. There's a huge there's a focus on characteristics and personality and behavior, and those types of people, they're not easy to find. And I don't believe in coaches. You know, I just don't. I believe that if you
Why not?
Because if you want to teach someone to swim, you better know how to swim.
That's true.
Yeah. If you want to teach someone to drive, you better know how to drive. But yet you're a coach that's teaching someone to be good in business, yet you can't, or you haven't demonstrated that yourself. That's like teaching someone to swim and you can't swim. This is what you got to do, you know, kick your legs, this is what you do with your hands, but it's academic. So finding somebody means you have to find the right mentor.
But I'm not talking business-wise. What is something that you want, but money can't buy?
What is it that I want that money can't buy? Well, money can buy a lot of the things that I want to do and experience. And I think if you'd asked me that question 10 years ago, I think there'd be more things, because I thought that I didn't have those things. But now I'm actually quite a content person, and I don't... Connection, maybe connection. I struggle with relationships with people, which most people would think that's absurd because of who I am. But I struggle because I'm fearful of opening myself up to too many people. The kind of like the real human inside here, not the speaker or the business person. And I find it hard to make friends, because I either fear that they want something from me, or I fear that they may not stay my friend. And I suppose all the way through my life, friendships that I thought were valuable may have not been real friendships. My best friend died when I was 23 and he was 21. And I found him dead. And so that was someone who I regarded as a friend. When you live and work overseas and you move away from that community that you have back home, that you've grown up with, you lose touch with them. You certainly did back in the 80s when we didn't have the internet and everything else. So your friendships kind of wane. I've never really been close to my siblings, so I've not really had that. I was in business in an organisation that I helped to build for 16 years, where I knew nothing else outside of it, and assumed many of the people in there were my friends, but they weren't. And so I was left quite, I suppose, isolated, self-isolating, how apt for right now. So emotionally self-isolated, stayed away from exposing myself to that, which created a sense of loneliness, and that loneliness I then became addicted to.
I'm thinking. You're talking, and I was like, looking at you, people would assume that you're someone who have a lot of friends, very happy, very content. For you to say that you really lack connection, that should be like a wake-up call to many people. I can guarantee that a lot of men would resonate with what you're saying right now, because definitions of friendships have changed. And one of your fears is I fear like people want something from me, but you put it out there. Like you do invite people to want things from you. So why don't you try and open up to people who maybe you could feel a little bit more comfortable with? Is it the addiction that you just said, I am like you chose the loneliness, you chose because of the experiences you went through. Why don't you open up?
Well, it's the same as anybody, you know. If you go and put your fingers in the oven,
even though you
and
do
your fingers get
encourage
burnt,
a lot of people to open up and to embrace their vulnerability and speak about. You came to one of my community events to raise awareness on men's mental health. So what's the story? You're not opening up. So why? What scares you?
Judgment. There's a fear of judgment. You don't want to be seen as a failure, or you don't want to be seen as failing, or you don't want to be seen as something less than what that picture is that you've painted for yourself.
But where is that coming from? Like you just said, it's the story we tell ourselves. Failure and
That's not
like failure.
It's fear of. It isn't.
But fear is coming somewhere.
And actually, it doesn't end with fear. It ends with saying, if that's a likely outcome, then you can keep it. I'll just stay over here.
Here as success.
No.
Or no?
Peace, loneliness, emptiness, not emptiness, quiet.
Are you lonely?
Often, yes. But not as a victim. You know, I'll watch a documentary on TV about a man living in the woods on his own, making a shelter, starting a fire, fishing for his food.
The basics.
And I look at that man and I'm like, well, how lucky is he? How lucky is that man? Wouldn't it be just wonderful? And, you know, I have a real connection with mountains and skiing and climbing and hiking. And when I do those things, you'll never find me in a bad mood. You'll never find me in a low mood, ever. I can't, it's not possible. There's an enormous amount of joy that I get from nature. And I don't need to be with anybody per se. But then again, I do enjoy the company of people so that I can perform. I don't often talk like this, but it's like, because I do what I do, I need the energy of others when I want to perform, just as much as I want to be on my own in solitude. So I like to fly alone. I don't like to fly anywhere with people. I love to fly alone. I love to leave the house on my own, go to the airport on my own, walk through the airport at my speed, my way. I like to get on the plane and be on my own. I like to land and be on my own. I really enjoy that kind of solitude.
What about the connection?
Connection to what?
To people. You just said you miss being connected to someone.
Yeah, so
Yet
it will sound to the audience that are listening to this that there's an element of contradiction, and I would understand why they would think that, but there are times when I'm up for it and times when I'm not. And I don't mind meeting new people. Most of the people I meet socially are through my wife. I don't, and everyone I meet is generally commercially. It's through some form of business or event or something that I've met. It's not been, something that's strictly social, because I avoid those types of situations. I hate networking.
I know.
And whether I just tell myself that, I've told myself that so much over the years that I can't do it, but I hate networking.
I guess if we give you like $1 for every time you say you hate networking, that's $1 billion there.
I hate it. But if I walk into a room and there's 100 people that are there to listen to me, ta-da! I've arrived. So if you, who knows me, said to me, Spencer, I really want you to meet somebody. Her name's Alicia. Okay, I really want you to meet her because of X, Y, and Z. I'd go, sure, no problem. I'd look forward to that. But if I was at a networking event and you were there and I didn't know you, and Alicia was there and I didn't know her, I wouldn't come and say hello.
You posted once a video saying how lonely you can get, and people saw the real you. Is it about Spencer that you wish people would knew about you, away from all the show and the performing and all of that? You just want to let it go. What would it be?
That I wish people would know about me.
Yeah. Away from the performance and the show and this effort of being someone.
What would I like them to know about me? So I'm fragile and I'm vulnerable, and I share many of the same characteristics as other people, and that I'm nothing special. I'm just a regular dude. I am genuinely just a regular dude. In fact, I don't have a great education. I have worked in most. I don't think I've ever had a job that paid a salary. So I've always worked on commission, and so a lot of the world will see that as the lowest of the low. People that get into sales and knock on doors and make cold calls. There's a lot of people in society that think that is failure, and that you're not a real person, you're not a real professional if that's how you have had a career. And so but I want people to take some form of solace from that, to know that doesn't have to be. And who says what other people think are the rules, and who says what other people's opinions are right or the truth. And I was talking the other day to somebody. I was at an event last night. Not an event. I was at somebody's house, and he's an auditor for PricewaterhouseCoopers. And as an auditor for PricewaterhouseCoopers, the partners used to have offices. And then the staff would sit down on the desks outside the offices, yeah. He said, well, we don't have that anymore. And I said, so how is it not having that anymore? He said, well, there's meeting rooms you can book. He said, but we all work open plan. I'm like, how does that really feel? He said, it's taken away the hierarchical structure. It's created collaboration. And it's not the guy in the office looking outside of his window going, oh yeah, you better do this, I'm your boss type of thing. And I think that it's important that if you're a barrister, you don't think you're better than me. And if you're a garbage collection man, I don't think I'm any better than you. And that's important to me. There's a sense of injustice around that. You know, I watch people, I have the guys come and collect the garbage on the street. And they walk up the street when I'm doing my walk in the morning. And I watch these people ignore them. I take time to say, hi, how are you? How you doing? And it's not sympathy. It's like, how you doing? You come and collect my shit. You know, you come and collect my rubbish. I don't want to collect my rubbish. Yeah. But then why anybody should go into a meeting and meet the head of some department or the head of some company and feel intimidated or fearful around that kind of person? Or, oh no, he's got a big job, he's the CEO of XYZ business. It's like, so what? You know, my mum taught me when I was young to remember the Queen gets up every morning and she, just like you, she has a poo. So it's like, and when it's like that, it's like, can we not level that playing field? You know, Alicia works for me and essentially I'm her boss, yeah? But man, she gives me shit. She gives me shit just like she's my sister. And she even did this morning. She barked at me this morning. But she's a human being.
Can't you let her?
Yeah. Now, do I bark back sometimes? Yeah. Did I today? No. But if I'm being a bit of a knob, then she's probably got every right to call me and hold me to account, you know? So I think that there's been a big part of my life where I've been trying to prove something. I listened to a guy called Eddie Hearn on a podcast the other day, and Eddie Hearn is a very famous boxing promoter in the UK. But Eddie Hearn was born into wealth. His dad, Eddie Frank Hearn, he had nothing. He came from nothing. And he built this boxing empire up. And his son, Eddie, grew up with the limousines and the helicopters and the Rolls Royces and all that kind of stuff. And the most important, and he was cocky and arrogant and obnoxious, you know, because he was exposed to famous boxers, and, you know, at school there was all these celebrities around him. But deep down inside of him, he's busting a gut to prove to his dad that he can be better than him. And he's busting a gut to prove that he can be better at. And I thought it was really important. It's like, there might be a part of me that's busting my gut to prove that I'm just as worthy and just as important as you, Mr. CEO of big blue chip corporation, or just as valuable as you, Mr. Movie Star.
You don't think that you have proved that already?
No.
What does it take, or what would it take?
Don't know. I'll find out when I get there. I don't know. I genuinely don't know.
What's more than being a self-made billionaire, having all these companies, everything you've built and you've
I'm not a billionaire.
reached?
I'm far from being a billionaire. But
billionaire, millionaire, who's counting? Someone.
A lot of people are counting. In society.
Do you care about those people?
I don't think it's I want to be on their level. I don't think it's I want to achieve what they've achieved in so much. It's that I want them to know that they're no more important than anybody else. I want them to understand that they better get their noses out the air and stop thinking.
You know that, and you understand that, and a lot of people around you do. Why is it so important? Like, I'm going to share with you a story. A friend of mine, she worked her ass off to get her education. Then she became a PhD student, blah, blah, blah. She went to an interview to get a job. And the person who's giving her the interview was giving her a bad time, a hard time, like all these tough questions, the attitude, the ego, you know. She thought because she was a woman, she got this vibe from him. And then she told him, listen, you are a PhD, I am a PhD. You're sitting there trying to interview people to get a job. I'm here to find a job. However, I'm better than you. And I'm going to tell you why. You were born into a rich family. I was not. So I worked so hard to be where we are right now. So don't you talk to me in that arrogance or superiority. You are her in that story.
Mm-hmm.
And you keep telling people it's the story you tell yourself. It's the story you tell yourself. Why does it matter for people to know that they're not better than you? Is it because of something you went through? Like you were bullied when you were a child?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you're still that boy? Even if you're 50 years old, there's this boy inside, little Spencer, who wants to prove to people who I'm good enough.
Yes. Yeah, proving that I'm good enough, and also maybe some aspects of a green-eyed monster being in there as well, you know, envious. So I think they might both play a part. I think there's been times over the years when, you know, the other day they said Roman Abramovich is in Dubai. He's rented the Bulgari hotel. And I'm like, I felt a sense of injustice. I was jealous. Not for long, for maybe 1 minute. But for that 1 minute, I was like, I hate you. Hate you, Roman Abramovich. I hate you. So I think that there's envy that comes from that point of view, and I think then there's envy that comes. When you grow up, you're so influenced by everything around you, and when you're bullied, you're made to feel that you're worthless. And when you're made to feel that you're worthless, you either become worthless or you fight back. And I think I fought back, but I don't think I've got all their attention yet. You know, the funniest thing, there's a guy from the UK called Nick Thurston, and Nick was one of my best friends growing up. Nick was a great sportsman. He was great at playing football. He even went on to play outside of the school for the county and then for the local professional football club. He was going places. You know, his dad got him and his brother their own sports shop. So that they were going places. He had a nice car. They were going places. Got a house before the rest of us, you know, going places. And Nick's 50 just like me, so he was going places. And I know Nick now is a painter and decorator or a plasterer or something like that. And his life didn't turn out the way that we all imagined it would. And whilst I now feel sad for him, I also went through a period of time of going, fuck you. And it's not just him, there were other people. And it was like, I wanted to become something because you made me feel I wouldn't. Or I let you make me feel. Or I felt myself based around my interpretation of your actions, you know, whatever it might have been. That's what I did. And
But how do you know you did not get their attention?
I don't. And I never will.
Assume that they were listening, and they were so curious. Spencer is on a podcast show. What would you tell them?
Thank you. Without you, I wouldn't be where I am.
Where are you?
Wherever. But without you, I wouldn't have had... I don't know I'd have had the same amount of drive, the same amount of ambition to prove something. So thank you. But it's almost like I want to rub your face in it.
I don't know how it feels to be bullied. I used to be a bully in school.
Did you?
I did not know I was bullying. I thought I was just being strong. I was just being me. But then when I grew up, I came to know that, I was a bully. But I was a bully in a way where I just want to prove that I'm the queen of the playground. Mm-hmm. Until a friend of mine, a very old colleague, she came to me and she was like, let's catch up, like 13 years later. And she was like, you used to give us really hard time when we were young. I was like, what, me? I was the sweetest. She was like, no. And then the stories she told me, and I was like in tears. And I kept on apologizing. I was like, I'm so sorry. I can only imagine the scar that I've made you carry. She was like, no, we're good. But you carried that scar. What is it about the little Spencer that you still you're not ready to let go of?
Well, my parents got divorced when I was very young. So I was brought, and my sister Louisa has Asperger's, and I was very much a lonely kid. It was almost like I was in a broken home as a single kid, an only child. And so not many people back then wanted to be my friend anyway. I remember I didn't fit into any group. I was on the outskirts of one group, but I never kind of like fitted into that group. And so, when I played football, and whether that was because I was cheeky or whether that was because I would say what was on my mind, I don't know, because it's so long ago. But in any team environment, I was never the favourite person in the team. Nothing special. There was nothing special. I was never loved, revered, admired, and all that kind of stuff within that environment at school or when I was younger. And I suppose when I achieved some success, there was hate. And so I wasn't able to sit down and be really proud of myself, because there was hate, which hurts your feelings. And so maybe there's an aspect of that, but some people don't fit in. And bullies do a really good job of finding out the ones that don't fit in and exploiting them. And I think that's what happened to me.
Did you ever fight back?
Not against the groups. But maybe not enough. Maybe not enough.
When was the first time you felt really proud and you celebrated? Like, yeah, look at me now. That moment.
I can't remember the first time. I can't remember the first time. I'm sure there were times. I'm sure there were times and experiences back then, but I can't remember the first time. I can't remember all those long ago the things that there wasn't. I lived in an environment back at school in the 70s and 80s where teachers didn't show compassion or understanding. They were just like you see them in the black and white movies, in the olden days, with their stick in their hand pointing at the blackboard and barking at you. So I don't ever remember feeling any connection to any teachers. So I don't remember them ever really praising me. My mum was always busy. My dad was overseas. And so, yeah, I don't remember the first time. There's been some times as an adult where I've experienced, pride. But yeah.
Have you went to therapy?
Mm.
You have. So you're
Yeah.
okay with going to a therapist?
Yeah. I've been to therapy, yeah.
Did it help?
Yeah.
Could you tell me more about that? Because a lot of men still resist on getting help and even talking about it. So
you have to find a channel to let it out. You have to find a way of letting it out. And men don't talk about it to each other. Women love a chat, don't they? They'll love a chit chat. Men don't do that. They don't have that chat. But you have to find a way to get it out, and you have to find someone that you can have that with. And I don't think a family member works. I don't think a family member works because they're biased. I think a therapist is good because they're not. And they can allow you. Now, again, it's that whole cycle of finding someone you can trust and connect with and blah, 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 blah. And that will stop people doing that because that's too much of a mountain to climb, What most men want to go and see a therapist for is because they want to fix something that they perceive to be broken. Men don't go to therapists for a chat. Men don't go to therapists to... Sorry, I'm so... stereotyping here. Typically, men don't go to a therapist just to open up. That the way men behave is, I have a problem, I need to fix it.
men are problem solvers.
Okay, and women are like, I've got a problem, let's discuss. And so we always, on the whole, we look for the fix.
You said in therapy, men go to fix things. I don't think there's anything to be fixed as much as it is to find answers to things that you have or have been holding you back emotionally.
So you find the answer so you can fix it.
And that on its own could be one way to look at it as, okay, I have a problem and this is how I'm going to solve it.
Yeah.
But why don't you approach it in that way? Like you just said, men don't go to a therapist to open up. But opening up is part of the solution.
Well, that's because the world's not educating men enough about how that works. Because most men don't see that as a solution. And that's why more men take their own lives than women. Sadly. And that's what maybe we all as a society need to do more of. And in fairness, we have done better, because if someone had depression 10, 15, 20 years ago, you'd be like, come on, cheer up.
Man up.
I didn't say that, but I know what you mean. But they don't anymore. Now, if someone does have mental health problems, depression or anxiety, whatever it may be, people see that compassionately, where they didn't before. And because they see it compassionately, it's encouraging men to do that more so. But I think you have to be more proactive with men. I think you have to outreach more with men. I think you have to persuade them more. And I think that a lot of people aren't doing that. And there seems to be this big push around women empowerment and all this nonsense. And I don't mean disrespectfully to women empowerment. All these women want to help women be successful. And I'm like, why has it got to be just about women? Why
Yeah.
can't it be about people? Why
Humans.
can't it be human empowerment rather than female empowerment? Why can't it be because men this and men that? And it's just like, oh, I hear some of them sometimes.
Do you still think of, when you go to a dark place, do you still think of suicide?
And not so much, but I used to.
When you
yeah.
told me, to be
used
very
to.
honest, I got really worried and it triggered something inside me. And you know that why this topic is really important to me. So when I heard you say that you really thought about it, I think 5 years ago.
2012.
So, yeah. I got so worried that I made it a second mission
Yeah.
to make sure that Spencer is fine.
I just thought you were being friendly.
For me, come on. You know how much I love you. But do you still have those thoughts?
Occasionally, yeah, but not as frequently as I used to.
Why?
Because sometimes it's just not worth it. Sometimes it's just not worth it. It's too. My head hurts. When my head hurts, it's like I don't want this pain anymore. This pain, go away. And it's not a headache. And I just don't want to be involved in it. It's just like, Rocky said it well in his movie. Life will kick you down and put you on your knees and keep you there. What you got to do is basically fight back, yeah. And life kicks everybody down. It's how you handle it, and that's why I suppose I'm still here and you're here, and Alicia's here, because guess what? We take the blows and we try and keep moving forward. But there are times where you wonder if it's worth it, and there's times where Alicia wonders whether it's all worth it. And I don't necessarily mean suicide, but maybe, is it all worth living here in the UAE? Is it worth living away from family? All these kind of things. Is it worth doing this job? And so I think we do question, but I guess it is what it is.
Well, I'm so happy that you're here and that you did not do that decision, because you are worth it.
Thank you.
And when I look at you, I see the little kid who wants to be loved and cared for. And that's what makes your heart lovable so much.
Being loved is a nice thing, isn't it? Being loved, being appreciated means a lot.
Well, I appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Before I end this, I always ask my guests to, but I do believe, like you've said a lot of messages, but is there anything in the world that if any man is listening now, what would you want him to like, hey dude, cut off the bullshit, what comes next?
Look, if there's any men out there right now that are feeling shit, low, empty, sad, anxious on a regular basis, if you do nothing about it, it will fester and become more. And if you apply the stiff upper lip approach, it won't work. You've got to find a conduit that enables you to talk about where you are and how you feel, so that there's a way that you can find hope and move forward. So don't do anything stupid, take some action, and whether it's contacting people like Ray or somebody else, you should take that action.
Thank you. Well, you're always going to be the number one Superman, whether it was for me or for anyone else. So thank you again. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you. I'm the number one ice cream man at the moment.
Yes,
Thank you
you
so
are.
much for my cake. She got me an ice cream cake. An ice cream cake for having the top podcast.
Hey.
How cool is that?
Yes.
It's beautiful. I'm so happy. No one's ever bought me an ice cream cake. In
Really?
my whole life. I've been on cakes, but never an ice cream cake. And it's just like,
Well, I was like, he likes chocolate. He likes ice cream.
it's like such a no-brainer. Anyone, if you want to make me happy, buy me ice cream. It's like, and an ice cream cake. It's like, that means a whole cake to myself. Awesome. Thank you very much for having me on the show and taking the time to come and talk to me. And sometimes maybe you're not going to get the stock answers that people might have heard before or are looking for. I'm a human being and I'm fallible, and I'm just trying to make it in this world, you know?
Well, you're not alone.
Thank you.
Thank you.